they are on red side, can find a way to ban a few of these champions.
Yeah, well, in order to do that, they would have to break away from the LeBlanc, Camille, Rengar bans on the red side, and that generally means you have to be okay with any one-for-one trade. So with the Rengar ban, that generally seals their fate into banning Camille as well, and it is Team Dignitas that maintains all the flexibility, at least in the first phase of bans.
We'll see what they can pinch it down to. Varus entering the ban phase, and Shen also on the table. Now, the rest of the tanks are available, of course, but that one's gone.
Yeah, this tells me that Ssumday wants to first pick Maokai, because Shen has been what's worked against it. Oh, would they not first pick Maokai even with impact on the other side?
They think Fior's good enough as the counter-off matchup.
They had also banned the Varus, so they're getting rid of the Varus Ashe, but with the Shen ban, the thing is, these teams have been defying expectations as far as patterns in pick and ban phase goes. It is something that Reaper has been very good at, is heavily varying his style from game to game, whereas most coaches, you feel like they're just drafting off a tier list.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like Reaper does that, which makes him one of the hardest coaches in the league to read in pick and ban phase. And I mean, I would normally expect a Maokai to be picked right here, but really with Reaper, he's unpredictable.
In my mind, he saves it for the last round and says, show me the Fiora or else. And if that is the counter that people are happy to play, then it's just going to default go to red side. Otherwise, Ryze left on the table. Now, Cassio, known as the common counter pick, could be available as the rotation here, but it's a strong mid laner that we know is highly sought after. Going to go to Jensen.
Absolutely. And Team Dignitas have the chance to take the Ashe Zyra lane away from C9 if they want to do so.
Yeah, and you can only get one of Misfortune or Maokai, so to a certain extent, Dignitas can say, yeah, go ahead. Which of the better ones do you want? Which of the advantageous matchups do you want to look for? But they're worried about the Cassio being banned away and the Lee Sin being banned away, and so Dignitas just going to mirror the roles, it looks like. They don't want to give up the opportunity to pick high-profile mid and jungle. Yeah,
and here's the question that's going to be facing C9 at this point, is there's already the AD banned on, or AD picked on one side of Team Dignitas, so if they do not pick a Jhin here, they're immediately pushed back away from the utility AD carries. There we go.
Jhin, yep, that's going to be, I believe, locked in, so that's the pickup. And they're going to mirror the roles after all.
Yeah, second game in a row, they've decided to mirror the three roles on both sides. So this time it's AD, jungle, and mid that have all been picked, meaning it is support and top lane that will be pulled in after this next draft phase. And with C9 having the flexibility of the mini first pick on the next side, since Team Dignitas didn't choose to prioritize Maokai, they forced the Maokai ban with the Fiora ban, and we're going to be seeing a whole new world in that top lane this game.
All right, is it Misfortune, Zyra, Malzahar, the trinity of supports that we might be seeing? Jace? Nope, it's not. It's still that flex. Well, it's not flex anymore. It's only a top laner, but the carry top is gone. Not going to allow it to be picked up.
They keep banning these. I mean, it depends if they want to play tanks or carries. The top lane pool has actually expanded a fair bit for these guys who've seen stuff like Kennen happening over in Korea. Jason, Fiora ban, Maokai ban, Poppy and Nautilus are the two tanks that would still be technically available. But since the teams have mirrored roles, they gain a lot more ban flexibility. And these very heavily are now target bans. So the Zyra is taken away because that could have been a valuable mini first pick by C9 in phase 2 of the pick phase.
Sure thing. So now it's time for them to pick their final, well, not final champion, but they get the first dibs and what's left over. It's top lane and support. Once again, the roles left over. Nautilus, their best remaining tank in their minds. They're going to save support for counter pick. Nautilus locked in.
Absolutely, Nautilus locked in with Shen and Maokai as two tanks being banned away. With Misfortune and Zyra, or sorry, just Zyra off the board, Malzahar does become a little bit more valuable. And Poppy would be the other tank if that's what Team Dignitas wants.
Absolutely, and of course C9 had the choice. They would rather play the Nautilus side of the matchup. Either Impact feels more comfortable or the team thinks it's better. In either case, they went for that one instead. And here we go, the last pick to come through. They need to support Cloud9. The tier list book says you pick Misfortune as the counter, but there are other options available.
Yeah, that is very true. Also, we saw a interesting pick by Team Liquid yesterday when they went with a Lulu, but it's all tanks and engage here going with Taric against the Malzahar.
We saw it before, actually. I think it was the P1 Dignitas series. Taric was played into Malzahar, and Smoothie's going to do the same thing. That's going to be the matchup here. Two tanks in the lineup, hoping to keep everyone else super, super durable, sneaking in a hard time, killing through the tanks. A lot of the weight of damage goes on Jensen's shoulders now.
Yeah, it really does. And as far as really late game damage, that favors the Cassiopeia. And these guys have been playing each other very tight in the mid game. This is very close to Mimic compositions this time. No huge advantage in a 1-3-1 or double TP on either side. So despite both teams winning with their double TP efforts, neither team brings double TP into the final game.
Yeah, but this draft went differently. The mid laners were picked earlier on. It meant you weren't playing for the split pushers. The tier list says you play team fighters, the Cassiopeia and the Ryze of the world. And that's what it's going to be. The coaches shake hands, and that's going to be for the last time in this series. This is the last game of the week to close out week 1 of the North American LCS as Team Dignitas hits the Rift one more time against Cloud9. Both these teams 1-0, and one of them must join FlyQuest in first place.
Yeah, and regardless of the result, it is an impressive first week for both Team Dignitas and Cloud9 because they have shown so strongly early on, but it's going to feel really good when one of them can walk away with a 2-0.
Absolutely agree. So the fans are ready to go. The cheers in the audience, the seats still mostly full here this Sunday evening as we get ourselves into our final game of week 1. Team Dignitas versus Cloud9, game 3. Here we go.
Yeah, huge props to the audience right here because we started games at 12 noon and we are now
about
6 hours in just starting the final game. TSM versus Immortals went the distance. Same with Team Dignitas versus Cloud9, and they have both been fantastic series.
Well, it's raining outside, Jatt. I don't want to be anywhere else but indoors watching League of Legends. It's Los Angeles. I don't know what it's like.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's weird. Xpecial tweeted out the drought was over, and then we had a pun battle on Twitter. It was great. I recommend everyone follow him on Twitter and look it up. It was magical.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was magical. There were lots of people groaning and telling us to stop, and eventually we did. Xpecial, my new favorite player on the LCS. I appreciate that. And we can see Storm Raiders surge on both mid laners. I'm so glad mid laners have learned that that is actually an amazing keystone. It had very low adoption early on in its life. It got some buffs, and slowly but surely people realize these teamfight mages really, really love the move speed.
I also want to point out that Ssumday has gone Grasp of the Undying on Poppy instead of Courage of the Colossus, which will give him those massive teamfight shields. Does not want to get shoved in by Impact.
Yeah.
Wants to be able to win those 1v1 trades because normally in this matchup, the reason Nautilus is favored is because he can just push in the Poppy so early and then use that to roam.
You see Impact timing his W shield so that it can block as much damage before it times out, and he can start his mana regen just a little bit sooner. Although he stopped tanking, so he probably could have left that on a little bit longer. Either way, doesn't mean a whole lot. Quick red buff take for Contractz. Q, auto, down it goes. 100 gold in his pockets. Chaser, a similar leash from Ssumday, gets his blue buff and continues on through the Gromp. Chase's actually done pretty much the same. Ooh, look at that trade. But you can see the players knowing the limit. Sneaky went for 1 auto attack, maybe 2, and said, Void Leagues are painful, we're done with this trade. And that's actually a very smart choice, realizing what the trade looks like in the laning phase, knowing that a longer trade favors the mage, and he peels out early. Absolutely the right choice for Sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, so much of the game for these really experienced guys is being able to look ahead more than reacting to what's happening. They know what they expect when they're coming into trades, and they actually are the ones that get level 2 first because of the way the wave bounced back.
And they can look for the stun Xpecial, but they're not quite going to go for it. Smoothie, worth noting, did go Grasp at the Undying, so his trade power is actually up a little bit in this laning phase, but it means he won't get those shields or anything else. He's just going to hope he can actually get the damage across in team fights, heal up a little bit. Quick bounce hits Xpecial, and a shot at Lot.
Yeah, I mean, Malzahar against a melee support is always a really difficult matchup, but they go all in.
Sneaky's 1 out away from the crit. He's going to go for it, but the exhaust, he doesn't wait it out. Sneaky could have gotten the kill if he waited out, but look at the dive. Contractz trying to trade back on a chaser. The kill still comes through to Keane. A bloody early game. Lod walking away safely enough. Sneaky can't get on him.
And we were watching the bottom lane, but where did Keane come from? It's level 3. Why is Keane killing a jungler under the turret? Really early on the roam by Keane. He burns both summoner spells because he had the early shove advantage on the Ryze in that mid lane, and it pays off.
Chaser wants back in. No sums on Smoothie. The chase is on. Looking for the damage up, but can he find a ward to jump to? Not just quite, and he can't get anything else done. The heal comes out of Sneaky for the move speed and the health, and C9 got to walk away.
Wow, what a start. So in the first 2 games, C9 had the advantage in the bottom lane, but look at this. This time, this was the same path Contractz took in game 1, but Chaser wasn't there. This time, Chaser had been hopping over the Dragon Pit, I think with the plan, and that's why Keane was following, and then he's got Ghost. So he knows Contractz can only run so far. Let's see if they can Blast Cone. He does Blast Cone, but Chaser saved his Resonating Strike. Keane gets him with the poison and the auto attack, and a double buff mid laner 3 minutes in is a spectacular start for Team Dignitas.
The sad thing is we saw that Contractz was willing to flash, but he didn't think that Chase was going to be that good. He could have flashed the wallman out of it, but he let the Q land, and the chase came through, and well done to Team Dignitas to get that advantage. It's going to feel real good for that duo.
Yeah, and it just hurts Sneaky and Smoothie that much more that their jungler has also died this early, because melee support against a Malzahar struggles a lot unless you're able to all in. They've now not only lost their summoner spells, but also lost the jungle pressure. So it should allow Xpecial and Law to really start bullying that lane.
Right now it's plus 13. We'll see what it actually looks like as the wave gets cleared out. A Relic Shield stack used by Smoothie to make it a little bit easier. Contractz back into the jungle, not really feeling down about the first Blood Death, but he walked through a ward to do so. I don't know if he's going to get much against Keane. Now, Jensen does have Flash available, and theoretically Keane is an attackable champion, attackable player. It's not going to happen. That ward, that trinket, just stops everything the Contractz could try to do.
Yeah, so another tricky start for Contractz on Kha'Zix. His LCS career started amazingly against TSM, getting first blood on Wild Turtle, the two new acquisitions between those two teams. But here against Chaser, who had a rough game on Rengar yesterday, but then some very good performances. Chaser's Lee Sin has been very good thus far. Also, varying his starts, because they played blue side, red side, Lee Sin, Kha'Zix in game 1. Contractz did exactly the same thing. Chaser varied to counter it, and that's what gave him the first blood.
It was beautifully executed. The intelligence was there, the mechanics were also there, and you marry those things together and you have an amazing jungler, and Chaser so far seems to be just that. There were questions about how good he really was. He predicted the Jensen juke and Jensen read it. That's not really Chaser missing, that's him making a prediction, but that one was a wrong prediction.
Oh man.
I'm not gonna give my story about Chaser being good, all right? Even if he doesn't land the Sonic Wave.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting thing about just the way you do and do not dodge skill shots, and there's almost this strange curve that happens as you get higher and higher in skill, because very low elo players run in straight lines. They don't try and dodge skill shots, right? Good players, a lot of times juke left, so to speak, so like they would be running in a straight line and then they just juke backwards, and then oftentimes the skill shot is shooting like they wouldn't dodge. But pro players actually keep going. Since they expect the person to stop, oftentimes they just run in straight lines and dodge skill shots, because you're so expecting someone to juke, it all becomes a mind game at that point at the highest level. And Jensen just literally ran away and didn't juke at all, and that was the juke. So Chaser missed his cue.
Pros don't fake, Jatt. You should know that. Pros don't fake. You only go one direction, and it's beautiful. That, or Jensen's not an ambi-turner, and you have no way of getting away from it. Who knows?
I think I've seen enough Jensen games to know he is capable of turning.
You're right. You're right. I was kidding. He can definitely turn both directions. Quick blue buff transfer. Keane, his second of the game. He got Contractz. Now he gets his own. And Keane gets to feel great having tons of mana in the pool. Stacking up the tier. Has a Negatron Cloak as well to make sure that Jensen can't deal meaningful damage to him in a trade. And Keane has all the tools he needs to scale throughout the game. He doesn't even need help anymore. Just his Ghost is back up. His Flash is up in about 30 seconds. It's going to be a very hard to assault lane.
Yeah, yesterday Keane played this exact matchup into Ryu's Ryze, and unfortunately did get solo killed fairly early on in the lane, but then was still very powerful in teamfights. So in this game, when he was able to roam and get the double buffs early, now his summoner spells are off cooldown, and he's just even in CS. It's a bright teamfight future for Keane.
Worth noting, Impact gets dibs in the top lane matchup, and he's up 10 CS as a result. You can see him pushing Ssumday around. The double Doran's ring gives him a lot of push pressure, and Ssumday, yeah, down 14, he'll get some back, but Impact going back in and getting top lane pick priority is working out for him.
So many bans and mind games going on in that champ select. Both teams technically had the opportunity to pick Maokai early, but that was before they'd been able to ban out Fiora, so both of the teams were respecting each other's ability to carry. Then they end up on kind of the slightly lower tier tank matchups, but like you said, Impact picked first. And even though Ssumday has taken grasp for a hopefully stronger laning phase, Impact just shoves too fast, and he knows exactly what to do in these tank matchups, much like Ssumday. So interested to see those guys battled out and see if Ssumday can keep it close.
Oh, Chaser's gonna find a friend. Doesn't go for the actual shot right there. Smoothie could have stunned him pretty easily, and it would have been a pain to deal with. Just watch the mid laners trade back and forth, and Jensen, getting his own blue buff now, can feel much more comfortable. Root into a spell combo, but we know Keane can do plenty himself. Actually triggers Storm Raiders and walks back out of range to not get overloaded. Chaser plays for vision control, and just looking at the two junglers, because I'm curious about the matchup, it is a 200 gold lead for Chaser, just slightly more than he got from the first blood assist. I think it was 176, it was early on in the game. Looking for Drake control right now is Cloud9 running through the Scuttle Crab boost, killing off the control ward, or rather the trinket ward that was recently put down by Chaser. And back down they go, just with the vision control over the river.
We got bot lanes, level 6. Flawed. We're getting a decent amount of solo experience, actually. Xpecial still level 5. But as soon as he hits level 6, that's a potential kill lane. One thing about Taric, though, is if he's preempting it, those Ashe Arrow or Malzahar ult and Ashe Arrow combos can kill in longer than 2.5 seconds, so Smoothie would have time to channel his ultimate if they're going for sneaky.
As soon as you see an arrow coming your way, you're like, all right, W on the target that got hit R. By the time they collapse, it'll probably be okay. Yeah, there's actually a nice soft counter there of Taric into Ashe. It's not always easy. You can see him take damage like this. But he's mostly shielding the damage. He's trying not to spam Q as mana efficiency goes up the less you cast it. And Smoothie is staying afloat in what's pretty clearly not a great matchup. But there's the Feign CC, and Smoothie this time doesn't have the chance to press the buttons. The kickback is there, but the damage still lives. It wasn't quite enough. It's just not enough damage, and he barely slinks away with his health. And that was 3 ultis and a flash burn for nothing.
Yeah, heal comes out from Sneaky, keeps him alive just long enough for the sunglasses to come down and grant invulnerability on Taric. It's exactly what we were talking about. I thought Team Dignitas, they had exactly the right idea. Go for the Taric, lock him down, do not let him precast the ultimate. But then, even after the entire CC chain had ended, he still casts it and stays alive. So a lot of that is just due to general tankiness.
Yeah.
But a missed kill there for Team Dignitas.
Durable dude, he had the 3-stat Q available, and he had the shield to cast all that. I believe he can cast while moving, and it was just enough health to add to the pool to stay alive. That was, though, good execution by Team Dignitas. Just sadly not enough for him. And we'll see what round 2 looks like. This time, though, Xpecial won't have flash for the play. Jensen again in the trade with Keane, and Keane gets the speed boost. Jensen the same, and they retreat back to their corners.
Yeah, even though there was that early first blood by Keane, the game remaining very competitive. First Ashe Arrow, unable to get the kill for Team Dignitas, but the question will be how quickly are they able to repeat those ganks? And also, does C9 do anything in the window of that Ashe and Malzahar arrow being down?
Yeah, Sneaky has his own ultimate. Maybe they can make the play with that. They can get Jensen in on something. Xpecial would be the more obvious target, the flashless, no-escape Malzahar. I think you can land the slows and get the assassination through, maybe. Looks like it's not the trigger that they're going to pull just now. VOD and Xpecial, they would actually secure that scuttle in the jungle, in the river. Their own control ward secures more of the vision down here, and it makes a lot of darkness for C9 on that side of the map.
Absolutely. It's going to be very tricky for C9 to push up in that lane, but kind of knew they were going to be pushed in for most of the laning phase. They've done well not to die. Keane trying to get aggressive.
This time it's a trade won by Jensen. He makes sure, I believe, to get the shield on during the trade. And there's a flash chase. Woo! He wants the kill. A nice stun comes in, and Chaser's in the mix. Ult kick, there's the kill. Not even a problem. Ashe are going to whiff. The shots from Jhin. Chaser's got to block them. And actually looks like he got stopped out there. Sneaky, I think, had to be afraid of Malz. Actually, Xpecial burned ulti, so I think he tagged.
Yeah, either Xpecial ultied or silenced. You got it a little bit off screen.
His ult's on cooldown, I know that, so he used it at least a certain extent. Maybe Smoothie stun to get him off.
Keane just barely able to avoid that. Contractz went big, but he could not land his W. Also could not turn away from the Cassiopeia. Ends up being his demise. As soon as that Cassiopeia all landed, it was just Chaser, even though he was invisible while he was stunned, Chaser's like, that's probably hit, throwing a Q into the air.
Yep.
Combo with the kick and got the execute.
Nice big trade, good chunk of CC, but the damage output, the follow-through isn't there, of course. Sneaky's ult on cooldown means not enough. You can see the power that can be done. It's a pretty bursty lane if it all lands.
Yeah, so watching this fight one more time, Jensen actually wins the trade with Keane. It gets him quite low. And that signals Contractz. He wants to go in for the big play. Flashes, wants to get the jump damage, gets it, but then misses his W while he's invisible and gets stunned. Chaser's like, sees the spot, Q, RQ, kill completed.
Yep. Worth pointing out that even though he is hard invisible, you get the shimmer when you deal damage. Cassiopeia deals plenty of it, and he's like, I know exactly where that stun champion is. And the easy Q seeks in. Chaser and Keane, both of them, 100% participation. Those two have been picking on Contractz when they get the chance to. And it's looked good 3 games in a row now.
They really have developed some nice synergy. Everyone talks about how Chaser and Ssumday would come over and try and be that Korean jungler and top lane duo a la Reignover and Huni and just take over the NALCS, but people kind of sleep on Keane. Also a Korean speaker, although the team is playing in English, but he's developed quite a good amount of synergy early on with Chaser. Another good sign for Team Dignitas.
Definitely is. We've even heard a couple of sound ups of the team, but if you want to go back and listen to the rollouts after any individual game, you hear a couple of team fights from Team Dignitas' point of view, and yeah, even if they're not fluent, you're hearing I can go, they're calling out targets. And you're hearing audio evidence that the Team Dignitas Koreans are playing in English, and at least in team fights, they are communicating as best they can. So far, it is a very heartening early run for Team Dignitas. And you expect that to get better over time as well. It's right, a fresher team, a lot of new faces on the roster, already look pretty good. Sky's the limit, it looks like right now for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, let's also note that this is a very competitive game as well between Team Dignitas and C9. Jensen still doing work in that mid lane, despite not getting any kills. And this game really is going to look like it's going to be decided by the team fight phase. Both teams, strong tanks, 80 junglers, carry mid laners, like very mimic team compositions as we mentioned in the champ select phase. Here they go.
Okay, there's the passive remove. Hit 1, hit 2, and just gets the 4th shot off in time, but it doesn't matter. The Ashe arrow not really canceling a ton. Smoothie afraid of what could happen in the fight. Pops ulti into the disengage on both sides here. Xpecial loses the flash, and a couple of ultis burned by the Cloud9 duo.
Yeah, and it's also double back on the conversation of Team Dignitas looking quite strong. This matchup, whoop, here we go with Contractz.
Ulti in. Oh, he misses the Q Chaser. That one's just, that wasn't a dodge. That was a straight mistake, unfortunately.
Keane ghosting?
Yeah, Keane getting around the mix. The flash Q. Impact catches it. Ryze is going to be there. How good's the engage going to be? It's great. That's the kill picked up. C9 finally on the board.
Knows exactly where they can go for a kill. You could see Keane was ghosting long before because he knew he was in danger, but that does not dissuade Impact from continuing his chase. Now they put all 5 people mid lane to go for the turret.
It's a good chance they can take this one down. Lod's wave clear only so strong, and how threatening can that squad really be? Xpecial ulti-less. The hook's gonna land. They want Lod right away, and he is in the wrong spot for this one. Turret taking plenty of damage. Impact not even losing the health bar. First turret as well to Cloud9. And there we go. The expectations for this was the top team in North America. And yes, I've been singing the Team Dignitas praises, but C9, veteran status showing through.
Absolutely. They were in the North American LCS finals last year, took it to 4 games. Contractz coming in super hyped, has been held down in this series, but trying to make some back right here. We're going to watch this fight one more time. Contractz goes in, Xpecial gets the ult, and Chaser just straight up whiffs. That hurts Team Dignitas' chances, because that means Contractz is still available for this fight. Impact ult, or flash Q doesn't even need to ult right away. Chains the ult point blank to chain the CC. Chain also with the Taric stun, so just a whole bunch of things you're not escaping from. C9 at the 1,000 gold lead.
Very nicely done right here. 1,000 gold up, and finally, actually, it's a mid-game where C9 are feeling a little bit more comfortable. It's been rough early for them before. It has been Chaser playing the jungle better than Contractz specifically, but a couple of nice plays and Impact. And picking up right where we left off. He was some people's best top laner by the very end of last year. It was debatable, certainly, and then we're like, ooh, okay, they picked up Ray, that's interesting. But Impact looking a bit better than Ray in the small sample size we've had so far in this series.
Absolutely, they sub him back in to play this tank v tank matchup. He's doing a very good job keeping Ssumday as well just neutralized. Ssumday is the superstar top laner of Team Dignitas, so Impact's had a larger influence over the game than him. Something world champion, I feel like, whenever you're talking about Impact.
Yep. See how much more of that they can have. See the 1,000 gold lead remaining as it is. The tank support doing just fine against Malzahar overall. Sneaky is going for a not great tank killing build. It's the Youmuu's first, the somewhat earlier power spike. He's good at killing squishies. these games have generally been going fairly late. I would expect Team Dignitas' tank killing and team fighting to probably outscale a slow game once again. Feels like it maybe favors them compositionally.
Yeah, even though Ryze can scale pretty aggressively, the Cassiopeia is really the one who does the sustained damage in the team fights, and Ashe also has higher damage than Jhin, not to mention when he's going the Ghostblade build, which has a little bit earlier of a power curve. But just to speak to the overall flow of these games, these teams are kind of playing here like the two best teams in the LCS. They have had less chaos in their games, and I feel like a lot more order in the way they are orchestrating their plays, timing their teleports, flashing to know their limits, and most importantly, also being able to get away from some relatively well-orchestrated engages. So the lower kill count doesn't always mean you are a higher caliber team, but in this game I feel like they're playing that way just because they understand the win conditions of each other.
I definitely agree. The subjective quality of the plays these teams are making seems very, very high. And I think these are going to be two teams that are very fun to watch throughout the rest of the season. Off to early leads, and we'll see how much more they can do as time goes on. Only one of these teams can win, but I agree, Jatt, these both look like very strong squads. As we know, teams only get better over time. Ssumday once again in the trade with Impact, but Impact's shield blocks all the damage he was dealing. Sunfire Cape only meaning so much on both these sides. Further pressure on this bot lane turret. Sneaky getting a fair bit done. See if the rotation comes in any farther. Impact's teleport is back up. I believe he used it earlier to be part of a fight. I could be wrong. Arrow's gonna land. Just kidding, he's gonna flash away, but now Xpecial wants in. Damage on a Smoothie, but how much can they get? What's gonna flash away, save his ult for now, gonna pop it, and Ssumday gonna knock back two of the frontliners. 3-man ulti keeps him durable for now. Sneaky's got a run. He's got 4 more shots, but Keane is on, and Ssumday gets the kill credit. Back into Chaser, a stun on an Impact, kicks him in. Not quite finding the backliners though, and Chaser actually delivers him an exit when he was trying to find a knock-up to find someone else to kill. 1 for 0, but C9 still wants in. They feel good about this. Health bar's not too squishy.
Yeah, every ultimate used in that fight for Team Dignitas. Impact still has his, which is why he's looking for one. But they're sticking strong around the turret to avoid an odd-numbered turret dive.
Team Dignitas keeps their turret safe, takes the kill, walks away with it, feels good about that. We'll have this map reset, the gold lead down to 500.
Yeah, really interesting collapse right there as Laud tried to land the arrow, but that was still meaning Team Dignitas was ready to hit the go button.
See what they can get. Yeah, Impact trying to be cheeky. I like the idea of that play. Make it look like everyone's recalling except Jensen, but really Impact's there. But Keane, smart player, sniffs it out. Says something cheeky might be happening, and he's correct.
And we're gonna watch this one more time. Laud shoots! Just flashed by Sneaky, and the teleport was already channeled. So they go for Smoothie anyway because they know Poppy's getting in first. He gets in slightly first, and then manages to just time it with the TP arrival of Impact and gives them immediate numbers advantage in which they can zone out Sneaky because Ssumday eliminated the front line and allowed Keane to move right on to Sneaky. Then they kick Impact back once again to make sure he can't repeat the initiation, and it was just a well-played fight overall by Team Dignitas.
Gotta agree on that one, bringing the game back to close. Contractz trying to get his own red buff, at least feels safe inside his own jungle. Unlike some of the other Kha'Zix, is going for Wings Evolve second. It's still up for debate based on how the teams want to play. Contractz, nicely done, manages to grab away the scuttle. Not too hard for a Kha'Zix, but still important to get it. Next strike is Ocean. It's going to be in a while. Team Dignitas has an Infernal Cloud9, of course, has their own eponymous Drake. Next one's going to be Ocean. And Baron Nashor is alive. Impact managed to make the top lane push happen. His lane pressure finally pushes through, and he gets a couple hundred gold for his troubles.
Yeah, I'm becoming suspicious about the number of Cloud Drakes we've seen in the North American LCS. The first games today across both streams, there were 5 out of 6 Drakes taken in the first game were Cloud Drakes.
Yep.
So,
woo!
What's happening? Woo, go fast.
Yeah, cheering for the best Drake in the game. You're right. Good job, audience. See? Some yelled Infernal. Yeah. You're the kind of people who like cats. I don't like that, you know. You're just objectively wrong about your value judgments.
I don't agree with your arguments.
I know. I'm just trolling a little bit. There's the stun of Sneaky, but is it enough? Contract's flashing, and it's a trade of flashes. Laud flashed away. He might have been in range if he hadn't have done so. Either way, Jensen's ult doesn't mean too much. Trade of spells.
Absolutely. A lot of attempts there for C9 to get the pick, but I like Laud immediately just understanding where to interrupt the Jhin ultimate by firing the Ashe arrow. Avoid a whole bunch of damage that could be coming through. This game's spreading out a little bit as at least around the 24-minute mark before the next Drake comes up. It's about getting your wave shoving, maximizing your farm, and then because both these are teamfight comps, we might see a big fight at Drake.
See what happens. 1 minute 15-ish to go until that Drake spawns. Chaser back into his own jungle. There is a couple of deep wards for C9, not as much for Team Dignitas. Of course, the gold still over 2,000 up for Cloud9. We'll see if they can keep that lead going. Worried about their late game scaling or not. You've got a big gold lead on Jensen. Looking at him at your screen right now. Can he find the solo kill? Probably not. But the battle is for vision. C9 in that opposing jungle, looking to get the vision up. Jensen recalls on a ward, but he will be safe.
A really early Guardian Angel by Chaser. You normally see the Dead Man's Plate as the second item if they're going tanky, but
yeah,
that to me speaks like they're really hoping to swing a mid-game team fight, because Guardian Angel gives you that quick power spike as soon as you build it, even if it might not be the most efficient thing to build. At this point of the game, that revive has so much value. Knowing the Drake is up in 25 seconds and Team Dignitas need a little bit to get them over the edge, it's hard for me to disagree with that choice right now.
Let's see if they can get it. Team Dignitas playing more for the top side of the map. They've basically been controlling different halves of the vision. A blue trinket used by Cloud9 to see if the Baron sneak was happening. It's not, but Impact is alone up here. He's got to be careful. Chaser gonna get the kick, just completely plays it right. The silence is there as well, and Impact not long for the world. Flashing away to buy some time because Cloud9's running it down the mid lane, hoping to get everything they can. And Impact just buying time as much as he possibly can, but he's got a very short lease on life. There's the pickup right there. One turret down. Jensen shoving out the bottom lane turret. Another turret down. Actually a trade kill as well as Ashe was picked off. Laud alone defending the base. Shouldn't have done so. Sneaky's ulti made it happen.
Really not worth it. That's 2 going on 3 turrets as far as that goes. And they could have gotten the kill quickly, but it looked to me like Xpecial held his ultimate because he thought they had the surefire kill. And then it took 4 people an extra 15 seconds to run down Impact and cost them several turrets. So I like the idea, but the execution failed there for Team Dignitas. And C9 gets the edge.
He's trying to play far back. He's basically on his own fountain. Just already too much for him.
Oh, man. That's the evolved wings and the evolved claws right there, just eating Laud as he's isolated. Not to mention, because they are able to kill all those turrets and kill Laud, it looks like he's soloing the Drake.
There you go, Contractz. You get the kill credit. Just like normal, the bot laner does all the work, jungle gets the credit.
Malzahar kills
like everything.
Fast.
Yes, he does. They're trying to knock this one down. Can C9 show up in time? They know that Kha'Zix is bot lane.
Not even warding inside yet, they can't.
Ryze goes for the fake ulti, no one shows up. Here's the wind up for Ssumday, and the execution comes in. Nicely done. Team Dignitas successfully secures the Baron.
Yeah, with 2 strikes in the count, they're able to swing and hit right there because they had lost so many objectives in the prior trade. But because Sneaky stuck around to kill that Drake, and then even because Contractz ran all the way over to finish it, it just bought so much time for Cassiopeia Malzahar to take down that Baron. That's something that C9 wasn't respecting, was how fast Cassiopeia can kill it, as well as Malzahar, as the Voidlings not only do a bunch of damage, but also tank very well against the Baron. So smart play by Team Dignitas to get something back there and kind of prevent a C9 snowball that was starting to happen due to all the turrets.
Really very helpful. We'll see if they can keep going or if they're going to strike out with this Baron. Hoping to keep the gold close. 3,500 the deficit that Team Dignitas has to work through. Sieging up for the mid lane. Looking to land the shots. Chase taking a bit of poke, but that turret will fall, and there we go. That first one going to drop. There's 2 turrets gone overall. The first objective that Dignitas has secured since that Baron. Still plenty of time to work with.
Ssumday looking to chase down. There aren't powered recalls on Team Dignitas. So I would like to fight here, I believe, if they can get a good initiation.
Chaser's low, it has Guardian Angel, so he still feels good kicking someone in. Quick satchel for Keane, getting down to the bot lane. He's going to clear this wave up. Overall, Cloud9 have still done a pretty good job of wave control. We need to see how many more turrets Team Dignitas can get during this Baron buff. But we know the Drake won't spawn during it. So far, only 1 outer turret has been their gain.
Yeah, and it's still anyone's game. All 3 of these games between Team Dignitas and C9 have been pretty
kicks
close.
Back, and now Jensen gonna get over the wall. He knows the ulti was burned. Freedom, exactly. Jensen gets away.
He definitely does. Oh man, building up towards what looks like to be a Rabadon's death cap as well. Just a 3,000 gold difference between these guys, and strong tanks on both sides, strong team fighting as well. Slightly stronger, as we mentioned, towards Team Dignitas. They have much more damage with which to cut through the tank line of C9, but C9 has invulnerability on their side from Smoothie's Taric. Most of this game is going to come down to execution as Team Dignitas brings the Goldie closer by picking up the outer turrets.
All right, look at that. Finally, the 3 have been grabbed. That's 2 turrets during the Baron duration. The rest is probably going to time out. So, not a bad pickup. 3,000 gold in total, roughly, not counting kills. There we go. Down the rest of it goes. And with 40 seconds after the Baron buff, not likely to grab too much more out of it, but maybe they can get the vision control and look for that respawning Cloud Drake. Once again, the top laners matched up. The shield blocking the shield. Xpecial, once again, uses Scryer's Bloom, looks for something to do. Keane taking all the farm, the blue and the grump away from Chaser. It's all to Keane. He's the one with the gold.
Yeah, and they're really trying to funnel farm into him. We know how strong Cassiopeia can get in the late game. Void Staff is very important for him as well to cut through the magic resistance of impact.
Yeah.
Neither one of these teams have spectacular backline access. It's mainly Kha'Zix and Lee Sin trying to dive through to kill squishies. So Contractz with a slight edge in that, because if he could get onto an isolated lot, he can gobble him up. It's going to be really hard to do against a Malzahar, who often just ults as soon as a Kha'Zix jumps into a fight. Meaning, they generally just front-to-front team fight and see who can kill the tank first.
Absolutely. And speaking of killing tanks first, you always want to look at power spikes. Keane only a couple hundred gold away from Void Staff. Jensen significantly farther away from finishing death cap, so in, I'm going to say 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute, the power spike for Keane comes in first, and it's a trough Jensen has to wait through to a certain extent. Void Staff just now done for Keane, so he's big.
Yep.
And Jensen only sitting on 1,000 gold, needs a few hundred more till he has death cap money. We'll see if this ends up lining up with the Cloud Drake spawn or not, but it is really a big deal. Jensen is the majority of C9's damage.
Very true. Sneaky with the Ghostblade Infinity Edge and Lord Dominic's regards. As well as being on Jhin. Just doesn't have the sustain damage. Will pack a punch with his burst. So if he sees a low target, that 4th shot crit will be strong in teamfights. A lot of executes in general coming in from C9's team composition, but a lot of that is on Jensen to get them low in the first place.
Jensen very much nearing that death cap point. He already does 900 damage with an Empowered Overload. That's with the E on it. And that's going to go to well over 1,000 when that item comes through. It'll be nice when he gets it. Still trying to play in his own jungle, looking for the farm to grab, but there's just nothing up on the map to kill. Hoping that he can get that death cap before a team fight erupts. Otherwise, the major spikes are kind of here. Lod looks like he's going for Bloodthirster as his durability item choice and his lifesteal.
Yeah, that is...
I assume anyway. Maybe it's Vamp Scepter and an Essence Reaver, who knows?
Yeah, it very well could be. A lot of times, Ashe would build an Essence Reaver just because of the lower cooldown reduction on the ultimate, but really haven't taken that many shots with the Ashe arrow, and wants to make sure he's not getting gobbled up by Kha'Zix in the team fights.
Yeah, Kha'Zix Nautilus is just enough to kill you off, and again, he's got damage on his team already. The more risk-averse thing, I think, makes sense for Lod in general. He's not required to hard carry the same way Jensen will be with his item build. Death cap done for Jensen, though. They managed to buy enough time. Cloud Drake is alive, and Cloud9 actually the team that took control. They've got the control ward right there. They've got the Scuttle Crab as well, and it's darkness right now for Team Dignitas. Nikki clears mid, comes to join the team.
Ssumday's in base, and they don't have wards to flank in for the TP, so
There it is.
you might see a fight. Cloud Drake's gone.
Very quick pickup. One ward was killed off. Keane wants to block off the movement. Quick shot comes in from Sneaky, and there's no minions in mid lane yet for Dignitas to push in with, so that inside track meant nothing. C9 now back in action, looking for something to do, waiting for the play as the team separates, looking for Keane, and how far will the team really go? Looking for the play, a big ultimate is on, they're all invincible. Ssumday has to kite right back out, but a big stun comes in, looking for the kill. Guardian Angel pop, Contractz low, can they pick him up? No, not just yet, and they finally pop Guardian Angel. Keane gonna go down, Sneaky staying alive, gets the shot up, picks up a second. Ssumday's gonna be next up, but Lot still alive in the backline, Life stealing it up, but gets caught out, and there's a double kill. More coming through, only Xpecial left alive. C9 starting to run through it all.
Where are you gonna juke, Xpecial? Are you gonna run a straight line? Blocks with the Voidling. That's why Impact wasn't throwing his Q.
And either way, it tanked the Voidling regardless. Xpecial didn't have to flash it, but he wanted a safer choice. 3 members alive for Cloud9, looking to push down as much of the base as they can. 25 seconds on Lot and Chaser.
It's just Xpecial. They have Ryze, a tank, and the Jhin. Are they going to look to end here? Phreak, it could be pretty close.
15 to 20 seconds. How well will it go? Xpecial tries to pull the minions away to make it backdoor bonus. The Voidling's helping a lot, and suddenly they're dying too slow. Xpecial with a game-saving move. The Nexus would have died if he didn't do that.
That is a veteran play. It is hundreds of armor and MR that those turrets gain when there are no minions in range. But pulling ourselves back, a great team fight win for C9. Watch this, they have double Cloud Drake, so they want to get engage range. And here, they could go for Keane, but in essence, since it's interrupted, they almost bait Ssumday to run into the invulnerability, and they have these 2.5 seconds where they can basically blow through Ssumday's GA and Chaser's GA before the fight really starts. Then Xpecial ults Contractz, doesn't even kill him. The team is sitting on redemption as well. So the fight is just really strong for C9 because essentially, as we mentioned, front-to-front team fighting, they eliminate the enemy tanks before anyone could get damage on Impact thanks to the invulnerability. A 4 for 2, I believe, at the end of it. And 1 Nexus turret thanks to Xpecial's game-saving minion pull.
All right, so here we are on the reset game with C9 in the lead, looking to tie up first place here and take down Team Dignitas, having a 4-1 game run through the first week of the North American LCS. And here we can see them trying to play for control over the Baron area. That is alive. Elder Dragon not for several minutes right now. And they have gotten rid of lots of the vision. There's still a control ward in the pit, but the rest of the wards are gone. That's going to drop down. We know Contractz will kill that very fast. Looking for the play. Hawk shot used. They can just take the brush back over. Dignitas pushing in mid lane first.
They have so many options with the Jhin ultimate as well as the Ryze ultimate to just move in on Team Dignitas. The one fear, though, if they take the Ryze ultimate in, it's a mind game about Ssumday and being able to hit him out with Poppy ult.
Pretty good damage on that frontline tank. Shields it back up, and they are looking for the re-engage. Ulti on, and Chase is going to get his entire team stunned, or at least 3 of them. Ssumday, 470 damage. Now they're pushing. The stun's going to hit him. Do they have the damage? That answer is maybe, and now it's yes.
Can keep
the
going.
stun glasses are on. Cool guys looking at explosions, looking at kills, only getting the 1, and really not that much gain for Smoothie's ultimate. The Chaser is flashless, and maybe they can look at Baron.
Yeah, but you can really see the focus and discipline of C9 in these team fights, not overextending and keeping themselves safe by focusing what is in front of them. Without a tank, Team Dignitas really can't engage a fight. Impact so good at just staying in front of his team and knowing exactly what a tank should do. So watch this. Impact always in front for Team Dignitas. Nothing could reach him, so Dignitas is always on the outward retreat, and Ssumday kind of has to do the same thing, but because of stuff like the Nautilus ultimate and the Taric ultimate, they just don't have the access to do the same damage back to Impact. And they kill Ssumday once again.
And he finishes the respawn in 7 seconds, but Cloud9, 5 Baron buff strong. It's going to coincide with Elder Dragon spawning. They don't necessarily need it, though. They've already got mid inhibitor down. Top lane 2 turrets available, or they can simply push for bot lane. And looks like that's going to be the call. Impact already prepping the wave. The rest of Cloud9 looking for a trap inside the jungle. They will not find it.
Yeah, with the Baron buff and Jensen's Ryze ultimate, the window is open for trying to find access into the base. Jensen's going to try and help the super minions along in the mid lane.
Yeah. The question is, can Keane get damage out in a team fight without getting exhausted? Because this is going to come down, looks like, to a team fight, maybe in front of a turret. Impact can ignore the damage of that pretty easily. He's real durable. Need a late game Nautilus. Whoop! Almost a risk there, but doesn't take any damage.
Just tanking up the turret. It's one important change between last season and this is the lasers are gone, so these tanks are much better at just walking into end games and forcing fights under these turrets.
For a bit more damage. Look at that chunk coming in. They're going to find the stun on the Contractz. Can they finish him off in time? No, they can't deal with it. Taric turns him invulnerable, and that's one kill picked off. Ssumday's first chaser is going to be next. The Koreans are falling in Cloud9, pushing him to the base. Double kill for Jensen. That's them all dead. Lot's the last one standing, and he's not even that anymore. A triple kill for Jensen, and Cloud9 will cement themselves in that first place tie. They will be 2-0 as he leads Impact almost to his suicide. Why not send a couple minions in? Who even cares anymore? That's going to be the game, the match, in Cloud9 ending week 1 first place with their former teammates of FlyQuest.
And such good team fighting by C9 down the stretch right there. The timing on Smoothie's Taric ultimates were exquisite. Jensen deathless that game. Sneaky only the one death. Impact subs in for game 3. And in my opinion, makes a huge difference in the team fight discipline Cloud9 was able to display, and it keeps them undefeated.
I completely agree. Impact, hugely important in this one. Ssumday felt like a non-factor, to be honest. Impact shaking hands, and that's got to feel good to get subbed back in such a close game, such a close match, and definitively win the matchup, and definitively be a major factor in winning that game.
Absolutely, and I have to say, very, very good series here in week 1. And Spring Split in LCS, these teams, a lot of them are working with very minimal practice. Even Team Dignitas, most of these teams didn't really start getting into the heavy scrimming until very early January. So it's only been a couple weeks. We'll see, hopefully, improvement and some cleanliness in more of the play as this progresses. But this was a 38-minute game with only a few pivotal team fights, and it was neck and neck for pretty much the entire series. So these teams, more so than the other teams in the LCS, I feel like displayed a large amount of discipline in the way they were playing the game.
And a large amount of skill. I think Cloud9 and Team Dignitas both living up to the off-season hype. Impact looking as amazing as ever. Chaser definitely feels like a better jungler than Contractz, but Contractz is certainly no slouch. He is strong. Jensen, probably the best he's ever been playing. I feel like every game so far, he's looked really, really good so far in North America.
Yeah, Jensen has been on point.
Yes,
his Echo in game 1, as well as his series against Bjergsen on Friday, were some spectacular games. And even though at level 3, Cassiopeia just kind of wandered off and got double buffs, it didn't really hurt Jensen's laning phase whatsoever. He was always up in CS. Many people consider Cassiopeia kind of the soft counter to Ryze in lane because of the outranging ability. Depending on who you talk to, they'll tell you differently, but that's the way I see it. So Jensen, another really strong game. And even though the one Ryze ultimate in the mid lane had everyone interrupted, it was almost like a perfect bait to start the team fight.
It got them into the fight. They're bunched up. They get a good Taric ulti on that one. And yeah, they just had the time to burn through the tanks. And that was kind of the interesting thing is I was so worried the entire game about can they actually kill the front line, right? And Kha'Zix is not going to get assassination damage on a Poppy. Jhin is just not an anti-tank champion. And Ryze, generally gets out damaged by Cassio. But I think a lot of it because Impact was winning lane. Like, I mean, Ssumday has had the capability of getting 10, 11 CS per minute. That did not happen in this one. And he was, half an item, a full item, sometimes down behind what he could have been if his matchup were easier, if his opponent were worse. And now he's actually killable. They were actually able to get through Ssumday. Ssumday had 3 deaths. That doesn't happen a lot of the time.
So many deaths.
So many, 3. But
especially when he's been playing on these tanks. So impressive play by Impact for sure. And the draft phase was also super interesting, given the Nautilus over Poppy.
It's a beautiful match. C9 gonna end the week in first place, and good for them. Team Dignitas also, of course, great. But we've got Azael down to the side stage.